What's up everybody, my name is Emmanuel Berrelleza. I am from Las Vegas and I am a rising senior at Dartmouth College studying government and English. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Dartmouth, it is the smallest school in the Ivy League in New Hampshire and also very close to my heart, for better or for worse. I committed to Harvard Law School this past weekend. Today I am going to be answering 10 questions that I received on Instagram and Snapchat. So let's get right to it. Question number 1, what made you choose law? Because you also considered real estate and wanted to support your family. So this is very true. To answer the question, I explored rigorously. I did a whole bunch of things during my time at Dartmouth. I did banking with JP Morgan. I did consulting for an organization in Latin America. Did a hedge fund in California. I worked at a nonprofit in Washington, D.C. with the Ministry of Education in Paris, District Attorney's Office in Vegas. Started my own nonprofit when I was in high school. I did a bunch of random things in both the private and the public sectors, and in each experience that I had in these very different companies and organizations, the law always seemed to play a role in one way or another, and it just naturally intrigued me. Literally just through exploring and trial and error, I was able to cross off the fact that like I don't really like banking that much, or working in a nonprofit is something that I'd want to do down the future, or working in government is something that's interesting but not now, etc., etc. My advice to you all would be to just explore rigorously. You don't have to apply to law school at any point. You can apply whenever you want. I met this alumni from Dartmouth who went to Harvard Law School 10 years after she had graduated, and then there's people like me who apply in their junior year because they know that's what they want to do. So there's really no timeline for law school. Just do whatever it is that you want to do, and if law happens to, you know, be at the forefront of your ideas, and just run with it. I really love to read, I love to write, I love to do research, I love debating, I love public speaking. So I think these are all just like core things that you have to do in law school. There's a ton of reading, there's a ton of writing, there's a ton of speaking, and I just happen to love all of those things. So that's how I decided I wanted to go to law school. And at one point, yes, I did do real estate, because this person specifically asked about real estate. I did real estate in Vegas during my freshman year of college because I really wanted to help my family out financially. Since I'm still doing real estate on the side, it's not my main thing. Tried it out. Again, you'll try things out and you'll come to see that, you know, they might not be all that you thought it was. Number 2, how'd you get into law school so early before even graduating or taking a gap year? I applied to this program called the Junior Deferral Program, specifically through Harvard Law School. So it's, if you just Google like HLS JDP program, basically it allows juniors to apply to Harvard Law during the spring of their junior year. The application cycle is interesting because you're applying against other juniors at other schools. So you apply your junior year spring, and if you get in, you find out before the start of your senior year, you have to defer for 2 years to do whatever you want before starting law school 2 years after you graduate. So although I haven't taken a gap year yet or graduated, I will be taking 2 gap years. And the next question is, it's asking me what I'm going to do during my gap year. That's a whole nother video because I'm very excited to share what I will be doing during that time. So there's no specific coursework for Harvard Law School. They're not looking for anything in particular, humanities, STEM, engineering, etc., etc. Like they truly want a wide range of undergraduate experiences. So there's no specific coursework that you have to do. You go to law school if you want to practice law. I think that's super, super important. If you don't want to practice law, then you shouldn't apply to law school. So this program might not be the best for you. But if you are a first year, a second year student, or even starting your junior year, and you're thinking that like law school is really what you want to do, this is an amazing program, and the link will be in the description below. Number 3, is GPA everything? In short, no, GPA is not everything, but it is important. Just to give context for GPA at Harvard Law specifically, they go based off of percentile. So they have the 75th percentile, 50th, and 25th percentiles that they report for the class of 2022 that was recently admitted. And these percentiles basically just indicate the people who were admitted, where they fall on percentile wise. So if you're in the 50th percentile, your GPA or your LSAT score is the same as or higher than 50% of the admitted students. For GPA, the 75th is 3.96, the 50th is 3.89, and the 25th is 3.79. So as you can see, the 50th percentile is a 389, and that is extremely high, just objectively, because grading systems are different in every school, but I feel like most schools operate under Dartmouth's as well, where an A is a 4.0, an A minus is a 3.67, a B plus is a 3.3, and a B is just a 3.0. So obviously you could go your entire undergraduate career getting a 3.67, which is an A minus, which is great. Like an A minus is not a bad grade. A B isn't bad, a B plus, like none of these grades are bad. Just from a numeric standpoint, it's very difficult because you could be getting A minuses your whole undergraduate career and you still wouldn't even have above the 25th percentile for HLS. There is hope. My very first term, first year, I didn't do so great. Every term after that, I was able to get 4.0s or close to 4.0s, and I was able to do so by really just honing in my reading and research skills in the English and government departments. I went to office hours a ton. I highly recommend, if you're struggling with your GPA, talk to your professors. I cannot emphasize that enough. Before you start an essay, talk to your professor to brainstorm. When you have your first draft, talk to your professor to review it. Whenever you're going to take an exam, talk to your professor to see how to prep, because the professor is the one who's grading it and it's their class. In my opinion, I feel like I've written great essays that haven't gotten a solid grade because I didn't listen to what the professor wanted specifically. And in other classes, I felt like I didn't write my best essay, but I wrote exactly what they wanted and I got an A. Talk to your professors, see what they want, and of course, do your very best. The GPA and the LSAT are two metrics that they use heavily. Get the best GPA you can, but a lower GPA can always be supplemented with an outstanding LSAT score. And likewise, a less than 25th percentile LSAT can be supplemented with a great GPA. Both are very important, but both are not everything. Now I'm going to talk about the LSAT in a different video. Question number 4. What sort of aid is available for low-income students? I actually am not entirely sure yet because I haven't received my financial aid package yet. Harvard Law School does give out some aid for demonstrated financial need. They don't give out any aid based on merit, and this is true for I think all of the Ivy League schools, at least for undergraduate. I'm not sure about law school admissions, but for Harvard specifically, they don't give out merit aid. It's just based on student need, and student need is not met 100% like I know undergraduate was. You're still expected to pay a good amount of money. There's a link in the description that I'm going to put that gives you an example of what aid would look like for them. I think in this specific example that I saw online, let's say you need $100,000 for the whole school year, tuition and fees, you would still be expected to take out $60K of that $100,000. What Harvard also offers is something called the HLS Low Income Protection Plan, and basically it helps people who graduate from HLS who are going to do a job in the public sector. It helps them pay back their loans. 5. What kinds of questions does HLS ask for? So the application for the junior deferral program in particular consisted of a personal statement. I'm going to go to the personal statement very soon, but there's a personal statement, a diversity statement, which is optional, and an addenda, which allows you to explain any circumstances about anything. The addenda is very open, like whatever you want to talk about, something on your transcript, your LSAT score, something that you felt wasn't mentioned anywhere else on your application. This is where you could write the addenda. And then they also asked for my 2-year plan during the deferral period. And then lastly, they asked for a resume. So I'm gonna go to the personal statement soon, but for the diversity statement, it is optional, but it is also super important. And diversity defined by Harvard, from what I've realized, is very broad. Like diversity for them is not only like ethnic diversity, like being a minority, but it could mean really a wide range of things. Like you could be a very wealthy white man in Kansas and you can still say you are diverse because you're from Kansas. For your resume, Harvard also has sample resumes on their website, so I'm going to put the link in that description below. I used one of them as a template just to see how they formatted it, but ultimately I did my resume on my own. Question number 6 is going deeper into the personal statement. They asked, how did you approach / write your personal statement? When I attended one of the talks that an HLS admissions officer came to Dartmouth at one point, there are a series of questions that they're looking for in your personal statement. 1, why you? Why are you ready for this? Why HLS specifically? Why apply now? Why not in 2 years and 3 years or 10? This question is super integral to the application, they said, like why are you applying now? Why do you feel like this is the moment that you need to get a legal education? And he said that you should write something along the lines of like, I want a legal toolkit to be able to do XYZ. So that's like the general gist of that question. Based on this is what the admissions officer said. They want to know why you want to go to law school. They want to know where you've been. They want to know where you want to go. And those are the questions that you should answer in your personal statement. Another important thing to mention is that they have all these things about you. They have your transcript, they have your letters of recs, they have everything. What are the missing pieces? What are some of the things that they need to know about you that you feel is super integral to who you are as a person? They are trained to look for trends. Give them the connections that they're looking for. I reflected on each question. I reflected on why I wanted to go to law school, on why I thought I was a good candidate, on why I needed a legal education to do what I wanted to do. So I really truly reflected on each question for some time, and then I wrote it down in bullet point list before I started trying to write paragraphs out of it. But really be true to who you are and why you actually want to go to law school. So to answer the other question, how did I start my personal statement? Well, I began by just getting a blank document and just free writing all of my ideas. Remember that those questions that I reflected on, I basically just wrote in paragraph form why I wanted to go to law school, who I was, where I've been, where I want to go, etc, etc. It's 2 pages, up to 2 pages for HLS, Times New Roman, I believe, I don't know if it's single double spaced, I forgot, but it's like size 11 font that you could go to. And so I just started writing as such. Question number 7. What was your personal statement is the question. Well, my personal statement was about wanting to pursue education law. I came to school in Las Vegas from kindergarten until graduation. I felt a strong desire towards working towards bettering this educational system because for the past decade, for as long as I can remember, Nevada has consistently ranked last in the national public education system. The implications of a poor school system are numerous and they're all very, very personal. I have 7 siblings and only 2 of us went to college, and the rest of them they work or they just do what they have to do because they didn't really have the foundation at a very formative age to, I believe, actually have college in their career path. And I strongly believe that a classroom is the strongest tool for closing economic and social inequities. I think just observing my family, observing my community in East Las Vegas, I felt that every problem that I saw economically and socially always traced down to public education. That was the crux of my personal statement. Number 8, what are you most proud of in your personal statement? So I'm most proud of the fact that everything that I wrote was my voice, and it was 100% me and 100% honest and authentic. A piece of advice is that when you have someone read over your application and give you suggestions, keep in mind that that is all that it is. It is only a suggestion. At the end of the day, it is your application and it should be your voice. Take the suggestions or don't take them, reflect on the suggestions, and ultimately if it feels like it's something that you actually want to say, then say it. If it's not, then don't put it in, no matter how much you think it sounds good. Number 9, are you a Harvard experiment? If I am, I hope they could compensate me in good financial aid. And number 10, general tips for applying to scholarship, fellowships, any type of grad school funding, etc. Okay, so I'm just going to do general tips for the LSAT. I'll give 3 tips. Study for the LSAT with an ample amount of time. The LSAT is a monstrous test and it should not be taken lightly, and I'm going to make a whole separate video on how I studied for the LSAT and what resources I used and everything in a separate video. Don't rush these things. There's no timeline on going to law school. You could go whenever you want. Generally speaking, if you do like 3 to 4 months of like consistent 4 hours every day, you should be in a good position. But of course, everyone's testing abilities are different, so give yourself enough time, however much you think it is. Give yourself a whole year if you need to. Write your drafts early. You do not want to have your drafts like written expeditiously. This is law school. This is your dreams. This is what you want to do as your career. Take some time with it, have some fun with it, and most importantly, start early. You might find yourself pivoting in directions, and that's completely fine. Just give yourself enough time to submit before the deadline. I can't emphasize this enough. Time. It slips through your hands. Please do not fall on the short end of it. My last piece of advice, which I think is like super important, probably just as important as GPA, LSAT, and the personal statement, is find great recommenders. Look at which professors you've enjoyed taking classes with, which professors you've established a relationship over time, which professors know you as a person. The Harvard Law Admissions Officer said that your recommenders should tell a unique story about you, about why you're unique, about an experience that they've had with you in or outside of the classroom. They should make it personal, they should make it detailed. You should ask people who you have impressed or who have impressed you. That's sort of how the admissions officer phrased it. Harvard Law School is looking for people who are good thinkers, good writers, and good citizens. Whoever you believe could best, speak to those characteristics of you, ask them for a letter of rec. And again, ask them with enough time, because you do not want them rushing through your letter. I believe a month, at least a month, in advance is very courteous to them. And give them your application materials, give them your resume, talk with them about, why you hope to go to law school. They're your recommenders, they're your professors, and you should have a great relationship with them. I gave my application materials to my professors at least 3 to 4 weeks before the application was due, which meant that I had to have my applications finished, at least a draft, at least a first rough draft. Like, just get the core of what you want to say on paper to give to your recommenders, and you want to give it to your recommenders at least a month before you submit. Those are all of my 10 tips for Harvard Law School admissions. I'm gonna make another video on the LSAT specifically, and I will have all the links that I talked about in the video in the description below. Follow me on Instagram if you have any questions about anything. I'm more than happy to chat, especially other first generation or low-income college students. I am very happy to share my experiences, my insight. I don't have the answers to everything, and my experience and my perspective is only of one applicant, but I am happy to share whatever I can. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you like this video. I think it'll help circulate it so other people can take advantage of these resources as well. Thank you again for watching, and stay tuned for how to crush the LSAT video coming soon.